The Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question today is to the Minister for Police. Minister, I refer to the Firearms buyback scheme with its $63 million budget and your latest media stunt this weekend, which saw firearms loaded into a truck and dumped onto the ground as a publicity stunt. And I ask, who came up with the idea to transport these firearms in the back of a truck? 2, what was the cost of staging your latest political media stunt? Right. 3, which government agency will be making this payment? And 4, who authorised that payment?
Order, please. Minister, before I give you the call, can I just say, Minister for Education, please don't interject while questions are being asked. Minister for Police.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank the Leader of the Opposition for his question, which gives me the opportunity to yet again raise with the people of Western Australia, particularly those who have the opportunity...
Order, please. Now, I asked for silence while you asked the question. The Minister's less than 15 seconds into his answer and you're already interjecting, so I'd like to hear the Minister's answer.
It gives me the opportunity, Speaker, to raise again with the people of Western Australia the success of the government's response to introducing the toughest gun laws in the country and toughening firearms legislation, which have been relatively untouched for 50 years. What we have seen with the buyback, which has now been underway for a little over 5 months, is 20,000 firearms being taken out of the suburbs and the towns of Western Australia. 20,000 fewer firearms, 20,000 fewer guns, making the community safer, reducing the opportunity for those guns to find their ways into the hands of criminals or people who would do harm with those firearms. It is making the community safer, and it's a wonderful thing to see that the people who held those licences and have willingly, voluntarily taken advantage of the firearms buyback have benefited. So they've been able to receive funds in return for returning those firearms and getting them out of the community. Now that's a good thing. What the purpose of our media recently with respect to the level of return of firearms was to bring to the attention of people who are out there, who are being misinformed and misled by the Leader of the Opposition and the appalling behaviour of the National Party and the Liberal Party, some members of the Liberal Party, who are encouraging gun owners to retain firearms that will not be able to be held when the laws come into effect. So those people who are believing the misleading and the completely false information being peddled by the Leader of the Opposition in a very divisive and dangerous manner on many occasions, and his colleagues, when those people believe that information and choose not to take advantage of the buyback, which ends at the end of this month, then they will find themselves in the position, when the laws come into effect, of being in possession of a firearm which is no longer lawful. So they will have to lawfully, before that time, divest themselves of the firearm lawfully, so they might be able to sell it elsewhere in the community. Probably if they sell it in Western Australia, it probably won't be worth as much as they could get from the buyback. But they'll have to lawfully divest themselves of the firearm, or they will be breaking the law. And they don't want to find themselves in that position. Likely, the modelling suggests many thousands of people who are currently in possession of firearms will not be able to get a licence when the law comes into effect, because if they are not a farmer, if they are not a club shooter, and if they don't really know the person that they've got a property letter from, which is their only genuine reason for having a firearm, they're unlikely to get a genuine reason to have a firearm after the law comes into effect. They should take advantage right now. They should take advantage right now of the buyback. That is in their interests, because they will lose their firearms at the end of this process, and they won't get a buyback after the buyback ends.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question.
Thank you. Noting that you haven't answered any of the questions I've asked, Minister, what will happen to the remainder of the sum allocated to the buyback after the 31st of August, and why won't you consider extending the window of opportunity for people to take up the buyback further down the track?
Order, please.
Thank you, Speaker.
The Minister for Police.
Thank you. Look, I'll just repeat the message. Do not listen to the National Party. They may not even exist after the next election. But to the extent that they are telling you anything, mostly you should assume it's wrong, and particularly in relation to firearms. The firearms buyback is on now. You can take advantage of it if you've got a firearm. And look, bear in mind that the majority, more than half of the buyback that has been received was in the city, in Perth, in the metropolitan area. More than half of those 20,000 firearms. Firearms licence holders who currently have a firearms licence and who, if they look at the legislation, determine that it's not going to be possible for them to get a licence under the new system, or unlikely, they should consider taking advantage of the buyback. Don't listen to the Leader of the Opposition. It is wrong that he suggests to you that there's something... this is the point. The bit of the narrative that the National Party has been running that is actually really offensive and divisive and dangerous, in light of recent events, elevation of the terrorist threat level, and other events around the nation and around the world. It's extraordinary that you would be suggesting that rewriting of the Firearms Act and making it safer for communities and elevating public safety to the #1 consideration would somehow be an attack on people. And that's the language that you employ. You employ language that suggests to people that they are being threatened and attacked, when what is happening is the legislation is being rewritten, finally, after 50 years, to elevate public safety as a primary consideration. If events occur as a consequence...
Silence, please. Point of order.
Speaker, under Section 78 of the Standing Orders, the answer has to be relevant to the question. The Minister hasn't answered the first part of the question, now he hasn't answered the second part of the supplementary either.
With respect to your point of order, it's true that Standing Order 78 says the answer has to be relevant to the question, and the Minister has been relevant to the question. It's a matter of opinion whether he's answered it or not, and that is how the Standing Orders operate. There is nothing in the Standing Orders that says you must answer a question in a particular way or to the satisfaction of the person who's asked it. Your answer simply has to, or your response simply has to be relevant to the question asked. So there's no point of order.
Thanks, Speaker. I'll be quick to finish. I just want to... Leader of the Opposition, I do want to bring to your attention your language and the nature of your response to this legislation has led to unnecessary division and anger, and in some cases threats of violence against me and other people, and potentially elevated the threat level to police. You should consider what you are saying. You should consider what happened at Williambilla not that long ago, and consider the nature of your language in relation to laws that are designed to make the community safer with respect to firearms.
Speaker.